Peace and welcome back to a brand new episode of Men of a Certain Age, The Soup. Right now, it is just me, Fro, and my man DL from the ATL. Panero had a family emergency, and if he can, he will pop in and build in with the gods. UH, man, peace to you. It's been a minute and a little bit of technical difficulties, but we back and better than ever, ready
No
to
doubt.
give folks a piece of our mind and what's been going on in the couple weeks that we have not been on. But man, how you, man? How you feeling this Sunday morning?
I feel great, man. It's all good. I'm up and at it. Had a good night last night. Watched the dogs win, and I guess that's what I'm gonna have to take my solace in these days, man. I'm taking in sports because obviously the atmosphere of the country is not anything I want to participate in any way, shape, or form. So I'm just going to just get into my sports and my job and all that shit, man, and just chill, man, because this is something we definitely need to discuss.
Yeah, man, it's real out here in the streets, and the saying or the term "control what you can control" is basically what it is right now.
Yeah.
But as I said, man, it is a Sunday morning, and it is a big Sunday morning in the 716 because we got. So yeah, man, we got the big one popping off at 4:25 Eastern Standard Time out there in beautiful Orchard Park, New York. We had the Bills and the Chefs putting it down. How you feel about the Bills nemesis coming through, man?
Man, Josh is 3-0 against them in the regular season, but 0-3 and where it counts in the playoffs. If you said earlier in pre-production, we damned if we do, we damned if we don't. So hopefully we come out of there feeling good, catch a Vic on these boys, man, because they unstoppable. They've been looking unstoppable as of late. So no matter what, they find a way to win. So we'll see if that happens today in Orchard Park.
Yeah, man, being from the 716 and going through what we've gone through with the Bills, as from shorties to men of a certain age, even.
Lord.
We know what comes along with the Bills. So we hoping for the best for them boys to bust a cap in the Chefs, man. It would be only right for us to put a cap in their ass one time and send them on back to Missouri.
Exactly.
You know? But once again, it's good to see you. Always good to see you, because this is my time that I can let what I've been having on my mind for the week or two off in the session with you guys. Ever since November 4th, cable news has been deaded at 308 towns around here, man. I have not surfaced on CNN, MSNBC. Never was a boy who watched Fox, just turning over there to see what they were saying. But I didn't even want to turn over there to see what they were saying, because I know that what they was talking about. They was talking about some extra type shit. Since the election, what's your thoughts? Have you seen some of the nominees this guy has put up for his cabinet, like Matt Gaetz, Secretary of State,
Attorney General,
AG, even worse. It's crazy when you take a look at what's going on right now. I try not to think about it. Like you said, you try to focus in on the things that bring you joy, like sports and competition and different things. But at the end of the day, these dudes are in control of what's going to go on around me. I can control my little universe, but obviously I cannot control $10 eggs.
Yeah, it's interesting because I'm basically been the same way since the election. I really haven't. Actually, I think I've probably gotten MSNBC and CNN all the way out of my algorithm, because I literally haven't watched anything since. I still got my little Instagram, so I see the nominees or just basic news, but not anything really in depth like we were before. It's different, man. Like you say, the things that we can't control are one thing, but since we do live in a society, there are going to be parts of things that are obviously going to affect us, especially with the policies that this guy has coming out. I just really don't understand why things have to be better, get worse before they get better, if things are already good. That's what Elon Musk says, who's now the director of the Office of Efficiency. So is he going to have bots go in and audit every piece of paper within the government or something like that? It's just giving someone tremendous amounts of control, who we really don't know if he has nefarious intentions or not. As far as the other people that I've seen come across my timeline. I think Doug Gates, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., whatever, weirdos. Doug Gates is a junior Trump. Matt Gates, Doug Gates. Matt Gates is a junior Trump taking down the interns, you know what I mean? Flying them in, getting them coked up, you know what I mean? Doing all kinds of nonsense with really young people.
Pedophile?
Yeah, pretty much. So it's interesting that this guy that and this is, I think they probably missed the show that we were talking about it. It's incredible that somebody with this type of personality traits, history, criminal record, morals, ethics is actually the leader of the free world for the next 4 years. I'm interested, as a student of history, I'm interested to see how this all turns out, because we know how things were traditionally in America and how different things are going to be in the next 4 years. So I'm interested. I'm not scared. I'm more interested than anything else, to be honest with you.
Apprehensive, skeptical, worried and scared. However, how much of a difference is there? Because you have to look at the situations and the people and he's trying to put in these positions. And it's funny because on my TL, you're seeing people already panicking about him getting into office. Like the Palestinian community in Michigan are begging for Joe Biden to do something for Gaza before he gets out of office. It's like y'all fools sat up there and put Trump in office and didn't expect him to do what he said he was going to do. And now you want to flip the script and play the Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're our only hope card to Joe Biden and VP Harris. It's crazy, man. Look at this. So one of Trump's judges blocks overtime pay for 4 million workers, right? So this is one of his campaign promises, that there was going to be no tax on overtime. Yeah, it ain't going to be no tax on overtime if you ain't getting fucking overtime.
Dummies.
No, he was just saying that. He wasn't going to do that. It's like our cribs told us when we was kids, be careful what you want, because you might just get it. And at the end, it don't turn out to be all that you thought it was going to be.
And yeah, this is definitely the time to see, because I don't think these people really paid attention to what he was actually saying. Because if you listen to what he was saying, even though he really wasn't in depth as far as policies were concerned to the extent that VP Harris was, but if you listen to his ramblings and his discussions about things that are important and are going to impact the American people as a whole, he's going to get rid of the Department of Education, bro.
It was
crazy.
Sorry to cut you, but it was all given to us in a 900-page booklet.
They told you what they was going to do, and they about to do it.
2025.
Yeah, they about to. And you know what's wild is that I think that people really was just like, oh, that's why. I had this guy, man, this white dude I went to high school with. And so I dropped Project 2025 maybe back September of last year, maybe July, whatever it was. I don't know, somewhere around there. And on Facebook, when I was on Facebook, and he was like, why would I read this ghost story? Trump's not going to win. I know more about this than you, and so on and so forth. I was like, listen, it's not a matter of what you know, it's what these people have planned. You know what I'm saying? And if you don't think that this is a possibility that he'll win and implement these types of things, you're foolish, because he won before and Biden doesn't look too strong. You know what I mean? So this was obviously, like I said, like a year or so ago. And now we're going to see what they have planned for America. I really do know that they are going to deport all of these people. And, I was in the farmer's market yesterday, man. This is the wildest thing in the world is I was in the farmer's market yesterday, and I was just looking around. And I was just looking at so many different types of people from so many different places, and I'm like, wow, man, just imagine if these people weren't fucking here. Am I going to go back there and slice some damn bologna? No. You know what I'm saying? Are you kidding me?
Cut the meat.
You know what I'm saying? Am I going to clean the fish and do all the stuff that these people do? You know what I mean? just to be in America, just to have a chance in America. But no, we're gonna get rid of them, and because Americans for Americans, and you're gonna make it harder on those damn fools who voted for that policy because they're gonna be working those shit jobs. I'm not gonna be doing it. You're not gonna be doing it. The people who voted for those people who have no skills, who have no education, who have no savvy, who have no tech skills, are going to be the victims, are going to be victimized the most under this guy. And I really don't think that they truly understand what's about to happen to them.
It's once again going back to our youth with our cribs, cutting your nose off despite your face.
Yeah, real shit.
That's the type of stuff that they doing. Again, just like here with the judge cutting overtime out totally. Oh, he said it. He said he wasn't going to tax overtime. We gotta get him in there. No. If you ain't getting overtime, you're not getting taxed on it.
And go ahead.
But then you go back to your man, Elon Musk. He's not doing nothing but for his benefit, man. Let's be serious. He ain't cozying up to Trump to make life better or easier for you or me, a break so that we can get ahead. He is in it for him and people of his ilk. You know what I mean? When was the last time a whole position in the government was created for him and Vivek Ramaswamy to be, for them to be over the head of efficiency?
Oh, Ramaswamy is in cahoots with Elon?
Yes, those two are tagged for that position, which you were talking about earlier. But again, you've got the foolish people who thinking that these super rich people are really interested on everyday people and how to make everyday people's lives easier. They've painted a picture on everything and anything about why VP Harris lost, but the realness, it's the racism is the reason why. It's the isms is the reason why she lost. It ain't woke, which the mainstream media co-opted,
hijacked, kidnapped.
Which is what their MO is, stay co-opting. The whole woke thing was something that we was talking about, paying attention to what's going on out here in the world. You know what I'm saying? We've been saying woke since Spike Lee in the school days in the 80s.
Exactly.
Wake up! Screaming, wake up.
Exactly.
The word woke has been in the culture. But again, it took them 25, 30 years to co-opt it, to find out what actually being woke it was, for them to be frightened of it and make it the boogeyman. That's not how she lost because she was woke or the woke movement. Get the fuck out of here with that, B.
She lost because it's a racist ass fucking country that we're in. That's the bottom line. There's really no other way to describe it. And it's interesting because there are, like you say, the Palestinians who were being divisive at our rallies and talking all this shit in the background. Now they're really about to see why. And that's the thing about it. All these little groups and offshoots and
FBA, where the fuck they at?
Yeah. All these
direct descendants of slaves, they ain't said shit since the election. Motherfucker.
Yeah, and ain't nobody said shit. You know why? Because they ain't got shit to say. You know what I'm saying? Because they did all they talking before, and now they doing what? Now they fucking scared. Now they're scared. You know what I mean? And it's gonna be interesting to see how these groups survive this shit. You know what I mean? Because they're the ones who wanted it. You wanted this. This is what you're gonna get. You know what I mean? I file paperwork at courts. I do stuff that's not, AI is not gonna replace me. Perfect example. Okay. I had a guy, I put a warrant on a guy a couple of months ago. Just a quick sidebar. And Friday, I'm at the office, getting my shit ready for next week. And I get a call from the guy. He's, oh man, I'm got pulled over. I want to pay. I'm like, all right, whatever. So he pays or whatever. And the cop is, he's got to go down to Henry County and have him take the thing off. So I'll take the thing off for you. So I call Henry County and I'm like, yeah, I need to take this warrant off of this guy. And he's like, you got to come down here to do it. It's 3:00, right? Literally like 3:00. And it's like probably 50 miles between my job and Henry County on a Friday afternoon, traffic in Atlanta. I wasn't getting there before 5:00. Under no circumstances we were getting there. So I had to tell dude that he had to sit down, right? And the thing about it is I have to literally go down there tomorrow morning, sign his paperwork and everything, let him off. I say this to say that there are certain things that humans can do and that AI is not prepared or never will be able to do. You know what I mean? There are certain nuances in our society that are going to work for me, are going to work for you in the long run. But a lot of these people who were on the fringes and were against Miss Harris and stayed at home and sat on the couch and just said, fuck it, they don't really have anything that is going to codify them or protect them from what's coming. And that's what really interests me the most, is that how are these people going to react? You know what I mean? Because like you said, 900 pages of Project 2025 told us exactly what it's going to be. How are people going to actually react when those things go into effect? When you're forced to go to church, when you're forced to say Merry Christmas as opposed to Happy Holidays, when the guy who used to cut your grass is no longer there, when there are no more lawn companies, or they got some lawn companies that's charging some exorbitant rates.
That's what it would be.
Yeah.
There'll still be lawn companies, but them motherfuckers gonna be American made and American dollar hungry for it. You know what I'm saying? That's real shit that you was talking about right there, fam. And as I said earlier, as we were talking about, the realism is the racism, is the misogynism. The thing I salute you for coining. What's the coin?
Community over capitalism.
Community over capitalism. And in this era, in these times, in this country, it's capitalism over everything else. I'm going to get mine. You better find a way to get yours. Mm-hmm. And if you don't, I got a short for you to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And a real short.
Real short.
Let me get into this. I shared with y'all with Eddie Glaw talking about the realism. Let's jump into that real quick.
Yeah, I like Eddie.
Eddie, the fact that we were all so blindsided by the election results, does that tell us that identity politics is silencing people? Because even I can see in my social media feed in the last couple of days, all these people are suddenly like, yeah, that was my guy. We're hearing stories in the suburbs the day after the election. People are now putting Trump signs up.
Yeah, in some ways, but let's be clear, Trumpism is a form of identity politics.
Amen.
We don't want to say that this, my beautiful white skin, remember? That's what he said?
Yeah.
Tucker Carlson saying in Madison Square Garden, we have been given permission to call BS on this wokeism stuff. We will no longer be made to feel guilty. That comes straight out of, we will not be replaced. That came straight out of Tucker.
There were a lot of people who voted for Donald Trump who didn't listen to the rally and who don't know who Tucker Carlson is, but who are super unhappy about inflation, that they can't afford their lives and they voted for him, and they're not buying into fascism.
I get that, but I think they have an idea, though, that whenever the incoherence of the country comes into full view, the tricky magic of falling into place, falling behind a notion of whiteness that could hold off all the reason why all hell is breaking loose economically, right, is because big government is putting its thumb on the scale and redistribute resources from deserving people to undeserving people, right? So there's this sense, right, that whiteness, right, is under threat. The demographic shifts. The country isn't what all of these racially ambiguous children on Cheerios commercials are confusing the hell out of me.
A lot of people voted because their life's too damn expensive, and it was here, and
they voted for. You're telling me that all of these people who believe that their lives are, that bread is too high and eggs are too high, that they voted for a convicted felon, a guy who said we can grab the pea.
I think that a lot.
They voted for this guy.
I'm not defending it. But I think there are tons of people that don't pay attention to, and I'm not defending it, don't pay attention to politics at all. But while we live in the most prosperous country in the world, people are saying, life's not fair, I'm not doing well, my son's still living in the basement, I can't seem to get a job, I don't like the status quo, I'm voting for something else, and he—
I love you to life,
I love you.
But I do not believe that. I cannot believe that. And the reason I think you believe it is because you don't want to believe that's what's really motivating them. It's always the case. People don't want to believe what the country actually is, because if they believe it, they're going to have to confront what's in them. I don't believe that. They voted for a crook, a person who they know is stealing from, just doing everything to undermine the so-called country that they love. And then they're telling us the BS that it's economics. We know that's not true. We know it's not true, and we got to raise our kids in this shit. Oops.
You're allowed.
Go ahead.
You're allowed.
Yeah. Shout out to Eddie Glaude. As I said before, man, I got put on the Eddie Glaude as being a regular watcher, past tense of Morning Joe. Watching Morning Joe was how I got onto Professor Eddie Glaude, and I like Eddie. Do I agree with everything Eddie says? No, I really rarely agree with anybody with everything they say, to be totally honest. But I respect his opinion to the utmost. And he hit it out the ballpark. Don't hit me with that bullshit about your ex or your son still living in the house, or you can't get the job that you were qualified for. That shit been going on. That ain't just start happening in 2024. You're not gonna look me in my face and say you were better off in Trump's 4 years than you are at this particular moment. How can you tell me that when we lived through COVID? How can you look me in the face and tell me that?
We're a nation in freefall, in a crisis of historic proportions. Nearly 3,000 Americans reported dead in one day, the most since the coronavirus pandemic began. This is equal to those who lost their lives on 9/11, and it's happening day after day.
There's no way. When you couldn't go into the store and get toilet tissue,
You've probably been hearing, talking, and thinking about one particular bathroom item a little more than normal lately.
Getting, 100 rolls of toilet paper, that really didn't make a whole lot of sense.
Or even hoarding.
We are actually fortunate. We have quite a bit of toilet paper in stock, which makes me want to buy it since it's available, but I do have some at home, so I'm not gonna get it, not gonna hoard it.
that was better than how you living right now, today? And then if you did find toilet tissue, you had somebody price gouging it on Amazon or eBay.
Yesterday's price is not today's price.
Or you had to fight with somebody physically to get it.
But that was so much better. Then this cat puts his name on checks and give you $1,200 and you think he saved your life. He gave you $1,200 once. Not every month for 12 months. Once.
You shouldn't grab me, Johnny. My mother grabbed me once. Once.
And y'all don't lost y'all fucking mind. I saw somebody break it down to, it was like 75 cents a day for a year. Is what $1,200.
No, it was like 4 years. 4 years for 75 cents. 4 years, 75 cents a day.
You know what I'm saying? And it's what it is, racism. This country was founded on the ism. You think about it. If you're not a white man, you really need to get all the way back, is what they talking about. What is what they want. And he said that. He said, it's another fucking Cheerios commercial with a black guy and a white woman, or a white woman with a black guy. What is this? And then they start hearing that what's going to happen in 2040. And they really start to say, we got to speed this clock up. And then and again, I'm always gonna go back to this motherfucker Elon Musk. He ain't nothing good coming with him, man.
Nothing.
He comes from apartheid. He lived apartheid. In his back of his mind, that's what he sees. And he's not just saying just minorities, he talking about poor white trash too. Y'all get your asses over there and fight for them scraps too. Little did you know. Mega.
Dark Mega. Yo, listen, he about to have them boys. They don't even understand classism, man. I really, you know what I think that it is? I think that because Americans have never lived in the type of society where it's authoritarian. Obviously, we're supposedly a democratic republic, where we were for the first 248 years. It's interesting to see them vote against the principles that they were taught in school, that they were taught in life. Listen, man, if I worked in the office with somebody who had 34 felonies, I don't think he couldn't even get, the man couldn't even get hired at my job. Could he get hired at your job?
No.
Would you hire him? Somebody, so supposedly he the blackest motherfucker ever. Cool, you know what I'm saying? Blah, blah, blah. He walk in the door, you do his background, he got 34 felonies. And he still got 3 court cases to go.
Yeah.
You fucking with that dude?
That's not a trustworthy individual, man.
It's not a trustworthy individual. So like you said, it goes back to the basics. Racism, what our country was founded on. These white men do not want to ever lose control. They can't. They can never feel like they've ever lost control, especially to a person of color. Think about the backlash of where our country's been ever since Barack was elected. That's what threw everything all crazy. Once Barack got elected, and we thought that, okay, we had finally gotten to the point where everybody saw each other as being equal and things get better. Then you got the rise in police shootings. Damn, that's the first thing that happened. Damn, why is the police shootings happening while we got a black president? Why is they out targeting young black men? But that's when it started, man. That's when the underlying hate started to boil. And eventually in 2024, let's back up a little bit, move up forward a little bit more. 2016, we see it bubble up a little bit more when Trump get there. 2017, they started to implement their policies, the Muslim ban, and Jews will not replace us. All these types of things that are coming to the surface. Man, lose it so it simmers down a little bit. But the racism is just too strong. You know what I'm saying? At the bottom, it's already hot. It's already, you know what I'm saying? It's already got a nice foundation. Exploded, man. It exploded in 2024, man. It exploded. And I'm just glad I live in, like I said, I try to insulate myself as much as possible personally, but I know that, like I said, as part of society, there are things that we're all going to have to deal with. And I really hope Americans are ready for what the fuck is about to happen, because I don't think that they really are.
Yeah, and I hate to get dark and conspiratorial on this joint, man, but it's like they putting the shit in place because we've already discussed earlier, we don't fucking trust the media. You know what I mean? So they've already done their plan of stripping down the trust of the media. That is in full effect, man. Something else I want to share with you, man, as we continue on this latest and the greatest episode of The Soup. Man, thanks for tuning in. Please share and subscribe and comment down low. Shout out to Panero, man. What I was gonna say is, man, as I was saying, is they're doing an awesome job of starting with the mass confusion. And what I wanted to share with you, man, is we've talked about this guy from time to time on The Soup, and we like his demeanor and how he handles the press. And this person I'm talking about is Pete Buttigieg. So I want to show you this little clip of Mayor Pete real quick, man. This guy I don't ever believe he'll ever be president, but this motherfucker is sharper than a tack, man. I'm telling you. Check this out.
Yeah, he definitely would have been a potential candidate if it wasn't for his sexual orientation. Without a question.
Let me say this. One theme that was in the book that I think we need to spend a lot more time thinking about is how we get information. So you recall I wrote up a little bit these studies on vaccine misinformation and the fact that Russia didn't just push anti-vax message. Often what they would do is they would push an anti-vax message and a pro-vax message at the same people, because the point was just to get you at each other's throats. And I think a lot of that's happened recently. Yes, they had a preferred presidential candidate, but their biggest objective wasn't to have for one side to win. It was to break down our trust. It turns out all the nuclear weapons in the world are not capable of doing what this information vector into our society did with shocking efficiency. And we're behind. I don't just mean like those who are on my side of the political spectrum are behind. I think America's behind. Here's something to think about in terms of trust. For the last 100 years, it's been possible to more or less decisively settle a question with photographic evidence, right? If you're trying to prove whether a thing happened or not, if you're trying to establish whether somebody's telling the truth or lying, in politics, in the courtroom, whatever, one of the best tools you could use to try to establish the truth was a photo. That's basically not true anymore, or it's about to be not true, right? The AI stuff is so sophisticated. We're getting out of the period where already with the deep fakes and stuff, we're graduating out of that. Now, on one level, that's terrifying because it's one symptom of the fact that right now we have never had more information and we've never been less informed, right? That's the result of the information bombardment we're living with, and the having our news feed be decided by an algorithm instead of an editor, right? On the other hand, if that was true for the last 100 years, then that means it was not true for the thousands of years before the 1920s, right? So what do we do before that? We had signatures as a means of authentication. It's useful, not exactly impossible to defeat, right? But there were people who helped figure out what was a forgery and what was real in the 17th century, right? So we've got to be harder targets for this misinformation stuff. And we got to recognize that sometimes the misinformation that comes at us won't just be designed to attack a person, it will be designed to attack our trust itself. We just lived this in a huge way in Hurricane Helene response. And there's only a couple solutions I know of. One is to get things and people offline. Again, I think this is a mayor's instinct. You run into somebody at the dog park and they're the same person who is just horrible from behind a keyboard, but you're actually talking to them, they're not so bad. I did with Elon. He was, I don't know if you followed this, like he texted this thing, or he tweeted this thing that wasn't true about the FAA, and I just asked him to call me, and then he did, and then we solved the problem. I'm under no illusions about the bigger picture, but that happens, right? So one is try to find people offline when they're better than when they're online. The other is to actually understand the dynamics of the information space. And this is a message I have in particular for young people who are ready to make yourself useful in the political and social life of this country. Because we've got to be harder targets. Look, I bet in the 17th century, if I was walking down Harvard Square, if we had a Harvard Square then, or outside of Massachusetts Hall, and somebody handed me a pamphlet that was printed on a printing press, I would have been pretty impressed. I would have been more inclined to believe it, because not everybody has a printing press. This must be legit. Then over time, we became more sophisticated. I don't know if Gen Z even, if you should find yourself reading a hard copy, you got my book. So if you find yourself reading a hard copy of Time Magazine or the New York Times or whatever, sometimes your eye falls on newsprint and it's designed to look like an article, but it's actually an ad. And it only takes your brain like half a second to realize it's an ad. You just have some pattern recognition that tells you, right? We don't have that at the same level on the digital stuff. And every time we form it, a new medium arises. We're going to have to figure out how to pick through that and really understand what's real and what's not real. That's the difference between the person who is correctly upset with the administration.
Yeah, man. I fucks with Buttigieg, pause. You know what I mean? He's tight and everything. I should have played the whole thing, but it was like 5 minutes. We was deep into it. But you could see where his mind is. And he's on point on everything he was saying right there. What you take from Buttigieg right there, Yolich?
I love it because the most important point was the fact that the whole object of Russia is to, like I said, I probably in the second or third pod that we did, is to have us lose faith in our democratic system to the point where look where we are today. You know what I mean? People before 2016, before 2020, nobody ever questioned an election. You know what I mean? You had the thing with Florida and blah, 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 and the voting machines and so on and so forth. But that was one out of every what?
The hanging Chad.
You know what I mean? But that was an anomaly. Now the misinformation that's been put out there has subjected our society to the point where we're just divided, which was their whole object. The whole object was to divide our country and have us lose faith in the democratic system. And literally, we may have won the Cold War, but Russia has won the cyber war for right now. We really need to pay attention to, like you said, the things that we ingest. I have made it a point, and I think that you said that you have as well, to spend less time on social media, to cut down on what we are absorbing in social media and where we're absorbing it from. I think that's an integral part of being a better person and rebuilding our society, because right now shit is in disarray.
it is a happy medium. You could say that when I unplugged from Facebook, when Truck ran and won first time, and I got my fix on Twitter. I went heavily more on Twitter, more so to satisfy my social. For me, Facebook was more so friends and family, people I knew,
people you actually know
back then. I don't know how it is now. More so with Twitter, I'm more in tune with everything and everybody, news, celebrities, sports, a variety of everything. So it was more off in the cut, how I would say it. Whereas on Facebook, I know
you out there. Yeah, you out there.
Oh, I know such and such. Oh, that's what he on? Nah, you know. Whereas when you see like Lil Wayne or somebody else saying some old dumb shit, that fuck out of here. If it's family or a friend or a close friend that say some stuff and you like, nah, that kind of changes your whole perception and your whole ways of you feeling or start dealing with folks. All of them have their evils because you're going to have the foolishness no matter what. And I say that to say this. Again, Buttigieg is a sharp guy, man. And I don't believe he'll ever be president because, as you said, of his sexual orientation. They ain't gonna vote a black woman, and ain't no way in hell they gonna vote even a gay white man. They ain't doing that because the evangelicals would not support, and then they always try to throw us in as a monolith and say, "Oh, black folks all think like this." And I'm saying that to get to this one. So there was a lot of people saying misinformation. They said that black men only voted for VP Harris at a 72 percentile.
That's a lie.
Let's take a look at some of the polling and some of these graphs that we got out here. So PBS News says white men voted heavily for 45. My fault, Barack. To 45. 59% of the Europeans voted, white men voted for Trump as opposed to 39% of them for Harris. White women, 53%. Pardon self. 53% of white Europeans, women, voted for Trump, opposed to 46% of the European women. PBS says there's 74% of men voted for VP Harris, and 24% of us voted for DT, Donald Trump.
So that's one in every four. That's one in every four of us. Get the fuck out of here.
89% of the black women voted for VP Harris, and 9% voted for
DT.
Yeah, that cat. Latino men, they was pretty much damn near split 50-50 on it. Hector and Consuelo in Guadalupe, 50% of the men, 47% also went to Trump. So like I said, they was 50-50. Now on the Latino women, Consuelo and them, they did their thing. They went 60% and 38% for Trump. Now it's a cat man out here on these internets. I don't know if you're familiar with my man. His name he's from Louisiana. Gary Chambers. He's a real serious brother. If you get on Twitter, give him a follow. So my man GC, he cooked up Byron Donalds something Stewart. She put him in the soup and cooked him up like some old marvelous shit to have your mouth water. But let me share. Now he did a young breakdown of it too. Let me give you that of black men. Let's get to that.
He got a chart too.
Yeah, man.
Age groups that NBC released says that 18 to 29, 84% of black men voted for Kamala Harris. 30 to 44, 82% of black men voted for Kamala Harris. 45 to 64, 83% voted for Kamala Harris. And 65 plus, 93% voted for Kamala Harris. Somebody help me understand how you get to 72. Even if you average all this stuff, how you get to 72% of black men supporting the vice president. The math ain't mathing, but there's usually an attempt to make the impact of black men less than what it is. But if you're saying that every group of us voted over 80%, how then does 72% of, or 70-something percent of black men vote for the vice president? I just want to make sure that the record is straight on us, okay? Because a lot of accusations and things that get said about us that don't be true. But if all of these categories say that we voted over 80%, you understand what I'm saying? Let's get the record straight. That's all I'm saying.
So yeah, man, that's my man Gary Chambers from Louisiana, man. Real serious brother, man. Speaks truth to power. And there you do have it right there. And again, that's the reason why I don't fuck with Abby Phillip no more. That's why I don't fuck with Joy Ann Reid no more. That's the reason why I don't fuck with Irie no more. That's the reason why I can't fuck with Lance. Even though Lance is a real one, but it's the bullshit that come with it, man. And then y'all paint us to be the ones who ain't holding up what we supposed to hold it. It's always the sisters. And when we standing right there with our sisters, man, because don't nobody champion our sisters like we do. We don't do the best of jobs of it, but we still gonna stand there with our sisters, our mothers, our aunts, our nieces, our cousins. And like I said, I salute GC Gary, man, for putting them on the spot. But like the math ain't math in UH.
It's not, man. And now I noticed they were trying to make us the scapegoats early. You know what I mean? If you think about the way that the media did it, they kept on focusing on, oh, black men aren't with Trump. And then you got these clowns like Laura Jamar coming out saying nonsense. You got 50 Cent saying nonsense. And obviously some other celebrities, but those are the two that come into mind.
Peace and Pan-Africanism, peace and Pan-Africanism.
And obviously that clown right there. It's amazing that they laid it out. This country is so predictable, dog, because they laid it out for us to be the scapegoats in case Miss Harris lost. Like, we really gonna vote against we really gonna be like, no, hell no. We don't want that black chick in control. Ain't no black woman don't run me. You know what I'm saying? So that was the narrative that they were painting. And obviously now they have somebody to blame. Now they were looking for someone to blame in the days after the election. However, if you just simply look at the numbers, people stayed home. That's why she won. And the reason that's why she lost is because people stayed home, because Trump didn't expand his base. He got the same number of fucking votes. The same exact number of votes. I'm saying 73 million. There's 73 million people who voted for him last time. He didn't get to 75 million. He didn't get to 74 million. He didn't get to 76 million. He got to 73 million, which is exactly where he was before. So he never expanded his base. The problem was that people, through apathy or through lack of motivation or through some other chicanery, managed to stay home. And I just don't understand why. You know what I mean? But every black man that I know that has the right to vote, voted. And I'm willing to bet that probably 85% of them voted for Miss Harris. So they can take that bullshit and throw it out the window and off my algorithm like they are.
Again, it's always, as Professor Gloss said, it's always going to be everything other than what it is. For you to say that it's blatant racism and misogyny, that would take for you to examine who you are, who your husband is, who your daddy is, who your grandpops is. But it's easier to say, no, it's because the bacon is $10.50.
Stop eating bacon.
They ain't gonna stop doing that.
They ain't gonna put that pig down.
It's just everything other than what it is, man. And what we try to do here on the Soup, man, is we try to get what we have off of our minds and share it with y'all. For those who do watch, who do subscribe, we appreciate it. And we want y'all to share with us what's your thoughts, what you thinking about in these days. Are these truly the last days? Because things are setting up to be rough. And when things get rough, people get dirty.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
And speaking of that, I don't know if they caught it last. Actually, I know they didn't. But I'm going to tell this thing again as far as how my mother, back in 2014, was working for this company, and they were building over 10,000 prisons in the United States. Combine that with the fact that they're going to have these mass deportations, family separations, destroy the United States Immigration Code, and that they've ordered 10 million bullets from FEMA. It's going to be interesting to see how all of these conspiracies, actual facts, and people come together in the next 4 years, because it's all laid out, man. It's literally all laid out. And they can't say that they're trying to reduce the population of the country, because our country can support, literally at this point, it can support over 1 billion people. And that's only a third of our capacity. So we're only at a third capacity right now. Anything nefarious that they come up with is truly part of a plan that they've been looking to implement for quite some time. And I'm just, like I said, as a student of history, hopefully we're around at the end of this whole situation so we can sit back and talk about it and say, wow, this was just something that we made it through. You know what I mean? And we're in a better position now. But I think that Dark MAGA's prediction, aka Elon Musk, prophecy that, or I say forbearance, that things have to get worse before they get better, it should be a wake-up call to the people who think that this is going to be a slave ride for white people, because it's about to get ugly.
Yeah, y'all, that's work for Tesla. Y'all soon not to get overtime if y'all even getting it right now. Y'all probably will be the test pattern to just see how things go. Y'all will be the test dummies of it all. Before we get out of here, UH, man, on this Soup Sunday, there's nothing worse than a useful idiot. We've all seen Bronx Tale when Steve's pops Carlo tells his son there's nothing worse than wasted talent. There's nothing worse than that. Then there's also the useful idiots. And who I say useful idiots is those dudes that you were talking about earlier, like this guy.
Peace and Pan-Africanism, peace and Pan-Africanism.
He was a useful idiot during this election cycle. Lord J, he was a useful idiot during this election cycle. Fucking Tariq Nassim, useful idiot during this whole election cycle. FDOS,
ADOS, FBA.
All of y'all have been super quiet. I ain't seen y'all nowhere on my line champion nothing, or even the bootlickers with the two names, Tim Scott and Donald and Byron Donald. They have not a position in the cabinet, not nowhere to be found. This man, his cabinet is whiter than his first cabinet was. But again, the useful idiots, man. Before we get out of here, UH, man, you got anything you want to say? Anything you want to get off your chest?
I just want to say this real quick, man, that it's important for us to stay focused. To stay focused, like we said, on the things that are in our bubble. We can create as much happiness as we can, as much positivity as we can inside of our bubble. But it's also important to remember to step outside of your bubble. If you can do something as simple as asking someone or telling someone to have a great day, good morning, how are you? Let's just start with the small things. Let's not be mad. Let's ingratiate ourselves with the people around us who are willing to be sociable. And like I said, let's start repairing America, because right now we're in a very divided place. And the only way for things to get better is for us to make it through this next 4 years, regardless of what your affiliation may be, is to be kind to each other, because I really don't think a lot of people, like I say, continuously say, understand exactly what they just did.
And I challenge my brothers, man, when we see another brother on the street, to say peace or what's up, and not just blow by, or not even, or mean mug. Peace, B. Because at the end of the day, it's only us. We see the Latinos, what they doing and how they moving. We got to have each other's back, man. And we're going to end it on that. For Panero, we'll see you next Sunday, man. You know what this is, man. This is the soup, and it's the same old soup. We just reheating it. Until next Sunday, man, peace and love. Stay safe.
No doubt, yo.